Maybe.
Should we close the lines for you?
That's Robin.
Local government, legal sector.
No, because of the New York State.
Unusual and strange time. This is Lincoln Johnson. She is our new director of finance and government services. This is Corey Correll. He's our new parks recreation. And this is our intern this summer, Grant McMillan.
Hi there.
Working on his master's degree. Yeah.
And I'm the more.
I know who you are, because you are infamous.
Known throughout.
Say all that. Here's another thing, Lingo Bill.
They can't get in because I shut the door.
Somebody got in the door.
But this side door was closed. Maybe you bail out.
No, I don't know. It may be.
Okay.
So, what wrong with it? That's what I hope it is, when you send John this bill. Talk to us.
Donkey's gone.
I know, I hate that.
Hey, son, you'll be glad one.
What's that?
Your son will be glad one.
Nah, we love that donkey.
Or other places that they transition master lot music to roll that line.
It's mixed. Lowell is live. I think that several spectators. They want it. It's done as Zoom.
Abnormal, insane.
Pardon?
Abnormal, insane.
Well, it's Zoom meetings and cameras. Like I said, it's a mix.
Can anybody sign up and talk?
Oh, okay.
You really did. What you read about. LGIN. Contract. This is an A for the hole up there. Sapphire. Contractors. They're building the last house up there. The, guy we got an A for the hole. Tractor, opening. No shoring equipment around it, not yet. And he works for Oscar. He got out there talking to him, I said, oh yeah, we both was down in there. I said, what? Yeah, he was down there and dropped his, tape measures, I called him and done that for him. Come on, he's like,
All right, I got 7 o'clock, so. It's called. Gonna do roll call?
I can, yes, sir. Commissioner Khan?
Here.
Commissioner Cordell?
Here.
Commissioner Fowler? Here. Commissioner Lockwood.
Here.
Mr. Moore.
Here.
Mayor Black.
Let's have invocation. Dear God and Father in heaven, we do thank you once again for this opportunity to represent the town of Ranlo. Do pray, God, that you give us wisdom and guidance as we have this meeting tonight. Allow us to act in an orderly fashion and control our anger if there would be a situation like that. Not that there ever has, but we do pray that you would help us to get through this pandemic that we're going through. We thank you for your blessings upon our town, and we ask you to continue to bless us in Jesus' name. All right. Adoption of the agenda tonight, has everybody looked it over? Have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? So carried. Approval of the May 8th, 2020 Board of Commissioners Budget Meeting and regular meeting. Got a motion?
I'll make a motion for the improvement.
All right. Got a second on it?
I'll say.
Got a second. All in favor? All right, so carried. No comment from attendees, is that right?
No, Mr. Mayor, no one has requested to address the board this evening.
Number 6 will be, budget amendments.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, this is just tidying up the budget for 1920, moving money that has not been allocated in certain accounts to accounts that have run over. This does not take into consideration salaries, insurance benefits, that will have to go through the next 2 payrolls, and we will bring the remainder of the budget amendments to the board in July, but this will essentially close out, the majority of the line items that are outstanding.
Have a motion?
I'll make such a motion.
Second.
Second.
Second, Ms. Locklear. All in favor? So carried. Public hearing for the fiscal year 2021 budget. Motion going to
You'll just need to open the floor, Mr. Mayor,
just open it up. Okay. Open it up. So,
and there are no comments, so
no
we will
comments.
close the public hearing.
All right. It's closed then. All right, what about the
budget ordinance is before the board tonight, Mr. Mayor. There is one item that I would like to bring to your attention for consideration for addition to the 2020-2021 year budget. About a week and a half ago, we had a significant issue on Boulder Court, and there's a photo before you. We had a massive sinkhole that came about. We had some engineers come out, last week. They evaluated 1,800 feet on Boulder Court and identified numerous issues that would need to be taken into consideration, that would need to be remedied. Those engineers have produced a scope of work that will, include going in, evaluating the situation, getting the necessary permits to move forward with repaving that road and moving forward with ensuring that we do not have issues like this again. Matter of public safety, matter of public concern, school buses, garbage trucks, large issues such as this can certainly be problematic long-term. I would like to ask that the board adds that engineering study into the Powell bill account for the 2020-2021 fiscal year budget.
Got a question, Mr.
Yes, sir.
If we make changes to the budget, do we have to postpone the budget at all?
No, since we have allowed the budget to sit for 30 days, since we have held a public hearing, that gives the public the opportunity to comment on the budget as presented. Prior to adopting the budget ordinance, the board can make changes that they see fit prior to adoption, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, absolutely.
I'll make a motion, we, adopt the fiscal year 2020-2021 budget and add the, repairs to Boulder Court to the same.
I'll second.
all in favor? So carried. All right, item 9 is the adoption of the 2021 fee schedule. Is everybody able to look over that fee schedule?
And there are a few just notes on the fee schedule. We have adjusted the water and sewer rates based on our discussion last month. I know that we were not comfortable with moving forward effective July 1, but I have recommended that these renewed tiered structure rates where you pay for what you use go into effect, in the August billing. That will allow us ample time to let the public know that these rates are going up. And we did receive confirmation and official notice from the city of Gastonia, this week, that rates would be going up on the town of Ranlo by 5% this fiscal year with planned increments in the upcoming fiscal year. So that is the only fee that would not go into effect, effective July 1. It would, of course, go into effect in the August bill.
So that would mean that it would show up on the September bill, or the bill that we get at the beginning of September?
Yes, one of us, correct.
On that schedule, I noticed there wasn't a, fee for businesses, so it was,
As in a different rate for industrial business, garbage, or, water sewer rate.
no, just business, it was, you usually charge me a $25 fee for business, called business fee. I didn't-
Like per business permit?
Yes.
That's not adequate, we can certainly do that. I compiled the, list of fees that I could find and what I conferred with Ms. Price about, but if that's on
You
the.
deleted it.
No, I was not aware of that fee, but we can certainly add that. to
There's a
the-
business permit fee.
And that is $25?
Yes.
We can certainly add that to the fee schedule.
And, the garbage fees, the third can, somebody wanted the third can,
Yes.
$55 for a can, and
Right.
then $3 additional dollars.
Right. The current policy is if you would like an additional can based on the ones you already have, you pay $55 plus an added usage charge each month. With the updated schedule, if you want 1 can per month, it will be $9 that you pay each month. If you want 2 cans per month, it will be $12 that you pay per month. Anything over than that, you would have to pay the cost of that third can, which would be $55 and then $3 additional per month for that third can. When a new customer comes in to register for water sewer services, we will ask them, do you want 1 can for $9, 2 for $12? And then if anyone has a need for an additional third can, they would pay the cost of the can, and then there would be a $3 surcharge each month. That would, also need to be added to the fee schedule. That is something that was discussed after I published this, but that is the policy that has been practiced here in Ranlo, and that's what I would recommend, going forward.
Do we have a, on the water and sewer, do we have a commercial rate?
We do not on these current rates. What we were looking at doing is adjusting to the tiered structure, playing that out for 1 fiscal year, and then analyzing where the big users are, what would be the impact of raising on commercial, on industrial, defining those at a later date, maybe in the next fiscal year, to move towards a long-term strategic plan to be able to build for water. So, but in this particular fee schedule, no, there is no additional charge for any commercial or industrial charges.
Any more questions from the board? I have a motion to accept these, fee schedules.
I'll make a motion to accept.
Second,
I'll second.
have a second. All in favor? So carried. Next item is discussion review of the audit contract.
And the board you have before you tonight a copy of the 16-17 audit Mr. Garrett has completed. He submitted that to us a few weeks ago. I have provided you all with a hard copy of that. There are no major findings, other than the fact that it was delayed in being submitted to the LGC. That was noted in the audit. But, Mr. Garrett's done an excellent job compiling that in a very quick, with very quick turnover. I would recommend that we move forward with approving the 17-18 audit to also go to Mr. Garrett to begin working to finalize the LGC.
Mr. Blunt, will this ought to be laid out for public review?
Absolutely, it's on our website currently, they can view it there, and we will have a copy here for inspection at town hall for anyone who'd like to view. And on that same note, Mr. Garrett has provided a questionnaire that he requested that I forward to the board. You have that before you. This is for the 17-18 years, so some of the questions may not be applicable for our new commissioners. And I asked him for guidance on how the board should fill these out, and he said it would be at your discretion as to how you would answer those questions. So, you can take those with you tonight, bring them back to me next week, week and a half, completed, or you can fill them out tonight, and I'll provide it to Mr. Garrett. And I provided the town attorney for the audit contract for
Okay. So, we have any motion to accept this, award this contract?
I'll make a motion to award the contract to Mr. Garrett.
All right, have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All right, all in favor? So carried. All right, discussion of the approval of utility write-offs.
and there is a copy of those delinquent accounts before you all tonight. This is just standard practice that after 10 years, if accounts are delinquent, we write those off and submit them to the state, but the requirement is the board has to approve the moving forward approval of delinquent accounts to be submitted. So you have those before you, I believe they range from 2006 to 2010. We haven't brought those before in the past few years, so we're trying to consult.
Now, we used to, submit these to the state and they would take it from their, income tax.
Right, and that would go to debt set-off. Debt set-off would be, that's filed usually each month, sometimes more frequently when income tax are coming through to ensure that we're able to get that money when we're able. It's my understanding that these have not met, those requirements, that some of these residents have deceased, they've moved, they've, been tenants that have moved out, but we are still actively engaged in the debt set-off program, and we do participate in that, usually monthly, or quarterly, sometimes monthly, depending on the time of year.
We have a motion to accept these write-offs.
I'll make such a,
And a second. Second, all in favor? So carried. Okay, discussion approval of the retention schedule.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. In 2019, the legislature changed the retention schedule for how long we have to keep certain documents. They request that local municipalities ratify that 2019 retention schedule. They provided the general records retention disposition schedule. That's before you tonight. I would just ask that we ratify the requirements that the state have implemented in regards to retention schedules.
All right, have a motion?
can you tell us what that schedule is?
Absolutely. It ranges document per document. Most things range from the 3 to 5 year, age point utility bills. Some things we have to keep indefinitely, such as minutes of board meetings, such as zoning changes, things that have particular historic significance. It's a very lengthy fee schedule that covers any and all things that could possibly come across the desk of, local governments. But for the most part, a general rule, 3 to 5 years on just billing, utility receipts, things of that nature. But I'll be glad to provide you a full copy if you'd like the software.
I make a motion to approve.
All right, have a motion, Mr. Moore, have a second.
I second.
Second. You got to say- raise your hand first. All right, we have a second, all in favor? All right, so carried. Next item is ratification of intent to apply for asset inventory and assessment grants.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, you have two resolutions before you tonight. These are, the town of Ranlo's intent to apply for a wastewater and a water asset inventory assessment grant. It is my hope that we'll be able to get $150,000 each for, water and $150,000 for wastewater. This is resolving that we are going to apply, that I am authorized to apply for this grant, and that the town of Ranlo will be submitting an application in September of 2020.
Intent to apply. I think it's a good thing. We have a motion,
I make a motion to give Mr. Blunt the authority to apply for.
have a second.
Second.
All right, have a second, all in favor? All right, okay, apply that, that's great. Next item on the agenda, number 14, is presentation of scope of work for renovations to the town hall, police department, and the lodge.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. In the approved budget, we set aside, earmarked funding for looking into renovations to the lodge and renovations to here at Town Hall. I have consulted with Creech and Associates out of Charlotte, who is an engineering design firm. With the fire department moving out, we are going to have a empty space here in Town Hall. This engineering firm will come in and assess all options with moving forward, what would be the most cost effective, the most cost prohibitive. Would comprehensive renovations be best? Would it be better to move forward with new construction? What type of ideas, designs, and concepts we can get planned for this entire corridor, starting at the town hall, moving up to the lodge. This entire proposal would last around 6 months. It would get the necessary planning done. It would also bring options to the board to consider with renovations, different designs for here, different designs for the lodge, getting what we need to get done in order to move forward within the next 6 months. So I believe they have presented a fair proposal. We have negotiated a fair price based on what we budgeted for these projects. I believe that, they're a very reputable firm. They have, engaged in Mount Holly's town hall renovations. They work with other municipalities locally. And I would recommend if the board's so agreeable that we do move forward in the interest of expediting the process, not waiting July, getting the agreement signed so that we're ready to move forward and hit the ground running as quickly as we can.
That amount was
That amount is $69,800. And at the end, that will provide 7 things. It will give us a space needs assessment. It will show how much space we need for a police department, how much space we need for town hall. It will give us civic campus master planning. That will show us a redesign of what the engineers would propose, a corridor study and master planning. It would show connectivity between here to the lodge, sidewalks, ways that we can connect this entire corridor, really starting at Warley and going all the way to the lodge or even at the end of the town limits. And it would also do a civic campus conceptual design. That would be a more detailed approach, showing specifically what we need in specific proposals moving forward. Staff workshops, coming here, working with staff, seeing what we need, researching old plans, and then compiling those into an updated plan. Professional cost estimating, they would bring us a cost for what it would take to move forward with all of this, and at the end, we would have an as-built plan for what the board, what the citizens would like to see, and what we all agree on moving forward prior to construction. So it's probably somewhere between a 8 part study that would take about 6 months to complete, and that total would be $69,800, which would be in line with what we budgeted for next year.
So Jonathan, we didn't have anyone local in Gaston County or Gastonia that could have done this?
I reached out to a local engineer, that had worked on local projects, regional projects, and they recommended Creech and Associates as they had worked with Mount Holly. They had worked, I believe, with Belmont Police Department. They helped with renovations there. They were familiar with the area. They were familiar with, Gaston County, and they reached out to me saying that this was who the engineering company would recommend using. We can certainly, if you all would rather put out requests for proposals, we can do that to see what comes in, but based on what I've seen, and they presented me examples of what they've done, they are top notch and what I can see very reputable in Gaston County.
So we're looking at, fire department being vacated by,
Hopefully next month.
July 4th.
You want me to ask them? Late July, early August.
Early on. So then once they do vacate, then we're looking at a 6 months
Yes, sir.
before, and then that's not even putting any, feet on the ground yet, that's just doing the study.
This is doing the study, getting the engineering reports, seeing what our options are moving forward with the town hall, and this part, with the newly acquired space.
I'd like to make a motion that we proceed with the, assessments completion with Creech and Associates in Charlotte.
Okay.
About $69,000.
Yes.
I'll second her motion.
You have a second, all in favor? You are in agreement tonight. Other business, town manager's report.
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to take a moment to introduce our new staff. We have Lisa Johnson. She is our new Director of Finance and Developmental Services. She recently graduated with a master's degree in public administration from UNC Charlotte and has previously worked with the COG, here our local COG, so we're certainly glad to have her on board. We also have Mr. Corey Carell, who recently graduated with his master's degree in public administration. He has experience interning with the city manager's office in Gastonia and also worked with the Mecklenburg County Parks and Recreation Department. So we are glad to have them on board. And we also have Mr. Grant McMillan, who is currently pursuing his MPA degree. Part of the degree requirement is that you had an internship, and Mr. McMillan has an interest in local government and reached out, and we're certainly glad to have him on board to help us out this summer so that he can help us help him, I suppose. I also want to make mention that the Ranlo Church of God is planning a parade on Sunday, June 28th for Ranlo graduates. The parade is going to begin at the Ranlo Church of God. We're going to have a police and fire escort through the town. It's going to be from 11:30 to 11:45. So we certainly invite all of you in attend and certainly encourage the public to be there. And we certainly want to extend our thanks to the Ranlo Church of God for putting that on.
You said the time for that again?
Yes, ma'am, it is 11:30 through 11:45. They're going to begin at the Church of God, and they're gonna come down through Smith's Mountain.
That is on the
June,
29th,
Sunday, June 28th.
28th. And that's also their, God and Country Day, where they recognize,
For graduation.
local, public works, fire department, and even the elected officials, so if y'all wanna come to that.
And then again, I'm sorry, we were talking. I'm sorry.
We have they're having a, God and Country Day, I think that's what he calls it, and you want the elected officials, public work, fire department, first responders. Last year, I think there was, me, a commissioner, and 2 fire.
This is June what?
28th. It would coincide with
Same,
the parade.
okay.
Yeah, and before the parade, and I think they're still having their services outside that day.
Pastor Simmons was here this week meeting with Mr. Correll and Chief Lunsford to discuss the planning and to make sure that the town's involved and make sure that we're aware about it. So we'll certainly promote that and let, everyone know about the parade and the God and Country Day. I wanna move on and again, this month, thank the public for their patience as we have still been short-staffed with public works. The inmates have not returned to help us out, but we are hoping that by the end of phase 2 into early July, that we will be able to be back to full staff, that we will have, the inmates back from the camp. But I certainly am appreciative for the public's patience as we have made do with what we have and continue to, get as we go along, working with garbage, leaf and limb, and brush. I also want to make mention of our 4th of July events. I am tentatively planning to move forward with the event as, phase 2 will be done on July 26th. I hope that we'll be able to have a celebration on July 17th with a fireworks show. The plan is now, after speaking with the contractor yesterday, that we are still good to go with moving forward with fireworks and hopefully having a Milltown's night on that evening. That, of course, is subject to how things shape up in Raleigh, what the governor's orders stipulate after the end of phase 2. I also want to make mention on that same note that the governor has extended, the payment suspension and the cutoff suspension, late fee suspension, through July 29th. That will also move forward, giving people an opportunity 6 months from that date to bring their, accounts to current. So that date would go to December 29th, 6 months from July 29th. And Commissioner Fowler inquired last week about the number of accounts that were delinquent or issues that we're having. I checked today and we are reporting about 55 accounts that, are delinquent and that were scheduled for cutoff that have been submitted to the, Utilities Commission. This really is not a large number, abnormal number based on what we, have done in the past. So we're gonna comply by that, and we have made it, aware to the public that this extension has been granted and that we will work with them to make payments as necessary.
And the splash pad opening,
We're hoping for, at the end of phase 2. We had hoped to open the playgrounds at the end of phase 1, but then the stipulations changed prior to phase 2 going into effect for playgrounds. And assuming that everything moves as expected with the end of phase 2 with playgrounds being open, I hope to have that open July 1st at the latest. And we're also working to make sure that we have all of that, contracted out to be chemically cleaned in a way that will eliminate any type of concern or, public health hazard. And that is all I have tonight.
all right. I don't have anything, Board of Commissioners, you want to have any comments?
I have an update on the, question that Ms. Haley asked a couple weeks ago about the, railroad crossing at Ranlo and Oakland Drive, that section there coming out of, the backside of Woodside of Mountain View. Chief Lunsford and myself, or Chief Lunsford actually made contact with the, DOT and they submitted an email. I don't know if I brought this up in the meeting's capacity update, but, we're on the list, but it's not a high priority list. We're not high priority on the list. They're aware that the traffic's picked up in that area, and they're aware that, Standard Distributors is, supposed to be contracted with the railroad company to haul their, product from Charlotte down to a warehouse here in Gastonia. So, hopefully they move us up on the list, but
How many trips, a day
mean, remember, they used to all put through here to the warehouse. When the tracks ran from the town hall. I'm not sure, they didn't say how many trips they make, did you? That's all.
Next item on the agenda is motion to adjourn.
Situation.
I have second. All in favor of adjournment? So carried. Meeting is adjourned. I like that. So, Rick, guy.
That's right.
What them do?
We got a lot of issues, we got a lot planned, we're excited to get going, excited to open back up.
Yeah.
One of the scheduled people.
I'm a T-ball coach.
Keep on coaching.
Yeah.
Some baseball, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I used to, I tried to, I did girls softball and
Right.